Okay, so if you've seen me before and you're familiar with our channel, you may be expecting me to say van life because my husband Nick and I have been living and traveling in our van for the past almost 3 years. We've lived in it through Canada, the US, and Mexico. And obviously living in a van, you live rent-free. But there is another way that we live rent-free, and we have used this way in some of North America's most expensive cities, like LA, San Diego, and now Vancouver for 5 months this summer we're doing it. So in this video, I want to share with you the way that we get to live rent-free in some of these very expensive but amazing cities, including Vancouver. And that is by house sitting. So for the next few weeks, I want to take you through our house sitting adventures throughout Vancouver and kind of show you what it's like going in between these house sits, how we balance house sitting with van life, and just in general kind of how it's done and how this lifestyle looks for us. So if you're interested in what it looks like to live rent-free in one of North America's most expensive cities, then keep on watching. Bye. Okay, just like that, there goes Nick. He is going to work, and I have to finish packing up the house sit because we're actually moving house sits today. So we kind of like loaded up his truck this morning, and now I have to finish cleaning up the house. Let's clean this house. Today is like a transition day, which means we are moving from one house sit to another house sit. Typically, like on the last day of sitting a house, we spend the whole day cleaning the house or like apartment or wherever we're staying at that time. Just like, you know, making sure that it looks really good for when the owners come home and all of that. This sit in particular this time is a dog, and usually the dog ones require a little bit more attention than, say, you know, taking care of a cat. And for this one in particular, the owner wants me to come over and kind of meet the dog and walk with the dog and kind of see how it's done. So that's where I'm going right now, and I'm also going to get the keys while I'm at it. And then for the cat house sit, I'm just going to return those keys in a few days. I guess they have a few extra sets, so they're not like dying to get them back right now. Oh, also, if you're wondering where Nick is, he's at work right now. Anyways, I am looking forward today to getting the keys and like seeing the house and all of that, meeting the owners, meeting the dog. That part is always kind of fun. Like, it feels like for the first day that you're going on vacation or something. I don't know. At least it feels like that to me. So here I go. Today, So today is a really good day because Nick has the day off work. It's officially the weekend, which for us lately kind of looks like how it does for most people, you know, like getting chores done, going grocery shopping together, and spending as much time together as possible. Nick is still just sleeping in a little bit, just taking the dog out into the backyard, and then hopefully we can like get in the car and go somewhere nice today. It looks like there's gonna be like a little bit of rain in the forecast, but whatever, it's fine. Because I've been kind of like walking the dog around this neighborhood, which is so fun, don't get me wrong. One of my favorite parts about house sitting is actually like getting to explore these different neighborhoods. I'm from Vancouver and spent my early 20s living here as well, so lived in all sorts of different rentals here. I lived on Dunbar. Nick was living on Commercial Drive when we started dating, and then we were kind of living in like the Riley Park kind of area, and then I grew up downtown. One of my favorite parts about house sitting in this city though is being able to like go into different people's places and kind of cosplay, like play house a little bit in their house and their neighborhood. And in my opinion, because Nick and I are obviously not homeowners, it gives us perspective for when eventually we do want to purchase real estate in the future, whenever and if that will ever happen. Then we kind of have an idea of all these different neighborhoods in Vancouver. But I think that I hear I'm getting up now, so let's go spend the day together.
There's a lot of cute little dogs for Jericho to play with, but he's not as interested in playing with them as they are in playing with him. Like, he's more interested in the camera, it seems like. In 2020, after we finished building our van in like September of 2020, obviously winter was coming, so we had decided we wanted to get to the warmest place we could. And because borders were closed, that was Vancouver Island. That's the warmest place that we have in Canada. And like the average temperature is like 9 degrees Celsius. So it's still not that warm, but at least warmer than where we were in the Okanagan. Unfortunately, at like the end of November of 2020, the restrictions started to tighten up again. And while we were on the island, basically all the gyms shut down. So there was nowhere that we could shower, no public restrooms that we were able to use. So we were kind of forced back to the mainland. One of the first things we did is we took care of our friend Kate and Kevin's dog, Blue, and we just like pet sat for them for like the weekend, and we had so much fun. We really enjoyed doing it. So since we had just house sat for our friends a couple weeks prior, it was kind of at the top of mind, and we thought there's got to be a way, like some way that we can continue to do this, that we can house sit and stay somewhere without having to rent an entire place. That was where we actually found trusted house sitters, or Rachel did, thankfully. And we had found our first house sit up in Kelowna, and it was for 4 months, which we were like, that's perfect. We have our own place for 4 months, no rent, we get to take care of a dog. It kind of seemed perfect. So this is kind of how trusted house sitters work. So homeowners will post on the app saying, hey, I'm looking for people to stay in my place at X location and who are able to take care of whatever pets they have, maybe water some plants every once in a while. We've even heard of some house sits where they just want somebody staying in the house. There's not even pets there. But typically it's an exchange to take care of people's pets. There's no money exchanged from either party, and if somebody does try to tell you that you have to pay some of their rent or whatever it is, tell them no, that's not how the app works. Essentially, they have somebody who's able to take care of their pets and you have a free place to stay, or vice versa. It's actually marketed towards more like travelers, so it's available all over the world. Like just between Rachel and I, like we've been invited to house sits in like France and Greece before. We haven't taken them yet, but maybe we will. But we have done it all throughout Canada, all throughout the US. We looked in Mexico, didn't find any unfortunately, but they are all over the world. And yeah, it's a really great way to, especially if you're doing van life like we do, it's a really great way to like maybe get out of the van, stretch your legs, and if you don't have pets like us, but you love them, to also take care of some pets.
So it's like kind of like a work for accommodation setup. It's not very different from doing like work away where you work on someone's farm in exchange for free accommodation. If you want to do paid house sitting opportunities, you can do that through something like Rover. But we just find that there's an abundance of house sitting opportunities on Trusted House Sitters, and we just really think it's a great program. We've been able to stay in all these houses, and we've been able to line them up in Vancouver for the next 4 to 5 months, which is crazy that we're just living in the city completely rent-free.
Oh, and before we get a bunch of comments about this, there is a fee to use the website. I think it's around like $150 a year. We'll put that on the screen here. With the amount that we use the app and the amount of sits that we booked, like we've obviously made that back tenfold. Like rent is thousands of dollars a month. So $150 for a yearly fee is just fine to us.
Anyway, Spanish Banks was lovely today. The weather has been like really nice for the past couple of days, and then today it's like kind of not that nice. I don't want to complain because obviously if it's not like pouring rain and freezing, then that's, you know, a win is a win in Vancouver. But we usually just take this dog to like Pacific Spirit Park, which is up here like by UBC, and obviously it's the weekend now, so there was like tons of dogs and all that out, so it was a little bit of a different kind of day, but yeah, I think it was good. So when we were first signing up for this house sit, we had a meeting with the owners and everything, like over Zoom, and they're like, oh, he really prefers walking off leash. Like he's not very good on a leash. We take him to the off leash trails, and that's kind of where he goes on a walk. And I was like, okay, well that sounds really great, because I mean, obviously that sounds awesome to be able to go out into the mountains and do all that kind of stuff every day. But there was like a little part of me that was quite honestly like a little bit nervous about it. It's kind of weird that you just like meet a dog and then 20 minutes later you're like, okay, let's go for a walk, and you just take the leash off. Feels in a way a bit sketchy. The owners were like, no, you have nothing to worry about. Like he has really great recall and all that. Turns out he's the best dog to walk, And like, it is so nice because we're in the city, but we're so close to forests and everything. BC is just so amazing that way, right? And get to spend so much time outside in nature this week. I'm just gonna start calling these the last days. I mean, the actual technical last day is tomorrow, but we're leaving like kind of in the morning. Because Nick is going to be going to work and taking the vehicle, we are gonna pack up the vehicle tonight. Now, we wouldn't do this if we were like downtown or whatever, but we're in a safe neighborhood with a garage and all that kind of stuff. So we're gonna pack up the vehicle tonight with basically all of our stuff. So yeah, it's yet another cleaning day, so let's get this place looking perfect.
Bye, buddy. See you later. Bye. See you soon.
Have a nice day at work. I must say that folding towels always reminds me of working in a hotel. And we'd fold them like this. I always wonder what people think when they come back. They either go, oh, it's a cool way to fold it, or they go, why'd she fold it like that? But for our first year of van life, I was working in Kelowna. Nick was working as a before I continue, comment if you've been on the channel, if you've been watching the channel for this long. I was working at the front desk at a hotel, and Nick was working as a skateboarding instructor. And we would often park in the back of Nick's work. I don't know if we ever said that online, because we don't really like, when we're sleeping there every single night, we don't really obviously disclose where we're staying. We would sleep very often in the back of Nick's work because his boss knew we lived in a van and loved the idea. And then from there I would just walk to work because I worked at a hotel down the road. Sometimes I do look back at our first, especially year of van life, and I'm like, wow, those were some really good times. So we're gonna go get the keys for the next place. Let's go. I swear to God, some of these buildings are so nice. Hi. Hi. So we moved to a new house sit today. This one is 2 cats, and the one is kind of hiding right now, and this one is like brushing up against the thing that I have the camera on, so sorry if it's shaking. Okay, never mind, not anymore. Spoke too soon. So I just posted to Instagram stories to see if anyone had any questions, and it turns out you do. So here are some of the questions, and let's answer them now. Babycats.mom asked, what kind of chores do you do as a house sitter? So I've tried to kind of address that in this video. So basically when you're house sitting, you're usually pet sitting too. So you're taking care of the people's pets. So feeding them, if it's a dog, walking them, and then obviously just keeping the house clean and tidy while the owners are gone. That's really it. Oh, and watering plants. But I must say too that if someone's asking you to do like an abnormal amount of chores, don't take a house sit like that for free. That may be a kind of a hot take, I don't know. I've seen house sits before on some of these websites that are like, take care of my 12 dogs. Like I have 2 horses in the back and all these chickens, and like you have to wake up at 5 a.m. and walk all the animals together, and the goats will be jealous if you don't. And like, it's obviously up to your discretion what you apply to, but like I wouldn't apply to something like that. In my opinion, something like that should be paid. Whereas if it's just, you know, like living in someone's house and taking care of their house as it's kind of an exchange for accommodation, we only apply to those ones. So food for thought. Candy Shoemaker asked, how do you get clients and how long is a job and typical pay? So we have addressed this in this video. We don't get paid to house sit. Currently, we are on Rover, so I was dog walking and doing like dog boarding on Rover last year when we were kind of staying with my brother for the summer, and that is all paid. And there's also paid house sitting opportunities on Rover as well. You can absolutely take paid house sitting opportunities. Some people do that as like their full-time job, but on the websites that we use, Mind My House and Trusted House Sitters, that you don't get paid. And then the question, how long is the job? It can be anywhere from like 1 day up to many, many months, over 6 months. So I've seen some for like over a year. Has anything spooky or scary happened during a house sit? Ghosts, someone trying to break in, etc.? We've not had anything like that. You can meet with the owners before you take the sit. So just as much as the owners are choosing you, you're also choosing the owners. The one like is kind of, I guess, scary, but it didn't happen when we were at a house sit yet. The one scary thing that has happened is that when Nick and I were driving through the US last year, we had a house sit booked in Nashville. We were in Oklahoma City driving to Nashville, and we didn't realize that we were in Tornado Alley at like the height of tornado season, and there was a tornado on the ground in Little Rock, which is where we were planning on camping for the night on our way from OK City to Nashville. So we ended up deciding that it was too unsafe to drive there, and unfortunately had to cancel the house sit that we were going to do. And the owner was completely fine. She had already previously told us that because she's in Nashville and she had like such a great little spot, she had loads of applicants, so she could just choose another applicant. Same thing, Caroline asked any funny or strange stories, how to stay safe. Same thing, like just make sure that you're meeting with the owner, that you have a good feeling about it, and that if you don't have a good feeling about it, or anything is weird or anything is off, that there is customer support, so you can just go through them. Never ever put yourself in a situation that you're uncomfortable with. Don't do anything that you wouldn't want your like little sister to do, you know? And then someone asked, how do you do it? Link website. So I'm gonna link the websites down below. This video is not sponsored at all. A Trusted House Sitters has never sponsored us. Full transparency, we've tried. Like, we've reached out to them to try because we talk about them so often online. No, they've never. Ooh, it's time to be real. I'm just gonna start making some pasta and garlic bread before Nick gets home. He's gonna be home from work pretty soon. And I know you guys haven't seen a lot of him this week because neither have I, so.
Okay, all showered up, clothes are in the washer. I'm ready for my weekend. Sorry I haven't been in this video a lot. I feel like I probably won't be in a few for a little while just because I'm so busy with work, but...
I know, I was telling them, I was like, yeah, you haven't seen a lot of Nick in this video. I'm like, because I also haven't seen a lot of Nick.
Coworkers have, though. Coming back, we were super excited to come back to the city, but like, I think me especially, like I really love being in Vancouver. It really does feel like home to me. And it's really nice taking all these house sits too. Especially because like we'll leave one, so like we'll pack our vehicle and then I'll go to work for the day, and then I come home and we're like at this new house sit in downtown Vancouver, like overlooking the water behind us. Like it happens like every week or 2 weeks or however long our house sits are. So it's definitely been cool. It's been a lot of fun.
Okay, so with all that being said, the plan is now we're at this house sit for 2 weeks, and then we're moving to another one, and that one's gonna be an entire month long, and that is gonna be absolutely amazing. I keep trying to talk, and he's just so cute. But the thing is that I did want to kind of show this particular month because we were moving around so much. I think it kind of like shows what sometimes how lovely it is to live rent-free in Vancouver, but also how like it does take work, and it does take moving around, and it does take a certain amount of like adaptability and kind of openness to live like this. Also, it's easier for us because we already lived minimally, right? We were already living in a van in 80 square feet, so it's pretty easy for us to pack up all our stuff and just kind of like bounce around Vancouver. But it really is a great opportunity. If you guys have any questions that I didn't touch on in this video, please let me know. Thank you so much for spending the month with me, and we will see you in the next video. Okay, bye.
Say bye to Mortimer.